All right, Nsima, I know you do a lot of fasting, but sometimes we get to these trade shows, and sometimes we're like, I don't know, we're trying to like fast, and we're like, oh, we'll probably, eat at like 2 or 3. We'll get out for a break. We don't get a break. Yep. We're still going. What's something that gets you through?
The last time we went to one of these shows, man, that was the first time that I was able to enjoy the taste of one of the Quest Hero bars in my mouth. And oh my goodness.
Yeah. People don't know about the Hero bar, I feel like.
They don't.
It's a sleeper.
No.
The silent hero.
The Hero bar is literally the best freaking bar that I've ever had in my life from any of these companies. It's so damn good. It's so chewy and gooey and just
You need to be by yourself for a little bit here.
Oh God, I think I do.
Andrew, what do you got over there?
I'm really excited, but we've been to various expos. I've followed Mark around with the camera for like 48 hours straight, and the only thing I had to survive on was Quest bars, and it just works, man. It fills you up. It doesn't make you feel like shit, but you do feel great. So head over to questnutrition.com, enter promo code MarksQuest at checkout for 20% off all of these bars and everything they have at questnutrition.com.
The gym over here has been pretty hot, but I'm not wearing like a whole lot of clothes, and sometimes I'm able to take my shirt off, right? Mm-hmm. But with what you're doing with jiu-jitsu, you're all bundled up. Yeah. Right? You're like, you're in a gi and stuff, right? You must sweat out a lot.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu on its own it's a very, very sweaty martial art, right? You're wearing the gi, it's a heavy, heavy thing. So afterwards, you're typically drenched and the gi's drenched. But then on a hot day, you're sweating even more. You're losing even more like water, electrolytes, etc. It just gets bad, really bad.
And we've been learning a lot in this podcast about the importance, and from guys like Stan Efferding, the importance of sodium. We know we need a lot of sodium. Are you taking in a lot of sodium, and you're finding ways to take in a lot of potassium? Like I think you're a fan of like coconut water and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, a lot of coconut water. I salt the hell out of a lot of my foods. Right. I take some electrolyte supplements, but I add a lot of that because if I don't, I'm going to cramp up really, really bad. I'm just going to feel horrible when performing.
Well, Perfect Keto has a great way of doing it too, where you don't have to necessarily buy coconut water that might cost $8 or $10 a pop. You can actually just supplement it with some capsules, and they have calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium all in one capsule, which I think is a brilliant idea. So maybe, after your jiu-jitsu practice or on your way from lifting to jiu-jitsu, maybe pop 3 or 4 of these capsules on your way to jiu-jitsu practice, and maybe get a little extra feel a little extra hydrated for those workouts.
Yeah, that seems like a great idea.
Hydration is a huge thing. I highly recommend that you guys check out these Perfect Keto electrolytes. Andrew, how can people find out more information about this?
All right, everyone can stay hydrated and in ketosis by going to perfectketo.com/powerproject. Use code POWERPROJECT and get 15% off all Perfect Keto products.
One thing I forgot to add is that when you're on a ketogenic diet, when you're on a low carbohydrate diet, that is very hard to stay hydrated. So check these products out. You're going to enjoy them, I'm sure. Certified Piedmontese, you can order all kinds of different steaks. Have you checked out the website?
Yeah. This is it's going to be pretty damn awesome. I love ribeyes. Like ribeyes are my favorite cut of meat. But when I was doing my bodybuilding show, I was eating a lot of flank steaks and a lot of ground beef. A disgusting amount of ground beef. How about you?
For bodybuilding, I ate chicken, fish, and a lot of steak. There's actually a lot more red meat in the diet than I expected, which was great. The advantage of the Piedmontese, as you know, is just the fat calories are so much lower.
Oh yeah.
But when I was looking at some of the meat that I got from them, I was like, man, this thing is so red. There was no fat marbling in it at all. Mm-hmm. So I was like, this is going to be like chewing on a sneaker. And I thought I was going to end up like chewing on this thing for the next 3 hours, but I was totally wrong. It came out very tender and still was extremely flavorful. So I don't know how they're doing it, but they have these super jacked cows.
Yeah,
You've
Nigerian
seen the cows?
right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they're from Nebraska.
Yeah, they're from Nebraska. But yeah, no, those pictures of those cows, they look really muscular.
I wonder, do they lift?
Yeah, but they're not on juice, so
what's your favorite
natural cows.
So you said your favorite cut is ribeye. For me, I really like filet a lot. Part of the reason why I like the filet is because you never have to like cut anything away from it. Sometimes with the ribeye, sometimes there's some stuff that's just not not as edible. But I love filet, also like flank steak. Obviously, I love ground beef. Their ground beef, I think, is superior to any ground beef out there because a lot of the really lean ground beef just gets to be kind of dry. It's almost like eating, I don't know if you've ever had turkey, like 99% turkey.
I know what you're talking about.
That's a rough, that's a rough go of it. But you can take some of the Piedmontese beef and make your favorite monster mash with it, like our boy Stan the Rhino Efforting does. Throw some, mix in some rice with the ground beef, throw in some bone broth, and you're going to have an awesome meal. But my favorite thing that they have on the website is the tomahawk, because you got that meat handle.
Yeah.
And it just makes you feel like a caveman or a barbarian or something. And you can grab it and just, gnaw right through it. Andrew, what's your favorite cut of meat over there?
It's definitely a ribeye. Yeah.
And where can people find out more about certified Piedmontese?
Cool. Our friends at Piedmontese are hooking you guys up with a crazy deal on all their cuts. You can actually head over to Piedmontese.com. That's Piedmontese.com. Enter promo code Power Project. That's all one word for 25% off your order, along with free 2-day shipping on all orders of $99 and more.
Also, don't forget, they have grass-fed and grass-finished beef as well. Check that out.
Nature's laxative.
So Mark was explaining it to me. He said it's because it just like pulls water into your stool, or is that something
into
else?
your colon, I think.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense because when I have coffee, it's an explosion.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel like what just happened to me was hardcore placebo. Because straight up, like I just mentioned, I don't know if we're live or not.
Yeah, well, live-ish.
Okay. During our last podcast, for the last 40 minutes, I had to like my stuff was just like here, just like chilling, and I was just like,
brewing.
Yeah, and I was like, gosh, well, it's not perfectly ready, but I got to get it out.
Digging his nails into the podcast table.
Yeah, I was legit like, going like this, just kind of gripping the table a little bit. But then once we finish, I go have a cup of coffee. 30 seconds later, I'm on the toilet. It's coming out. So it didn't reach my colon in that amount of time. But
it's like the smell too. Yeah,
the smell,
the triggers.
All those, it just triggers everything to start moving.
Poop juice.
Yeah. This is a good way to start this episode because I'm pretty sure, like, when you look at Aaron Marino, he's like one of those guys who're like, he's probably never had a situation where like he had a crazy poop story or something. Just because he's like he's like always ahead of the game, like that's what it seems like.
Yeah, like Christian Guzman.
Exactly.
Like you wouldn't expect him to have a catastrophic poop story, but maybe he does.
That's
because these are clean-looking men. These are guys. These are good-looking people. They shouldn't have these butthole problems.
Are you saying that only like bad-looking people have butthole problems?
No, it just makes more sense when it's like the fat guy always gets blamed for the farting.
Yeah.
It's like, who farted? It's like the fat guy's like, yep, that's me.
I can't remember there's a big guy. He's a comedian. He said that as they're getting their car valeted, his wife just ripped one, and he's like, really? And of course, as the guy comes to get the keys, and he's like, it wasn't me. And he's like, yeah, right, dude. And he's like, I look like I'm made out of farts. So, yeah.
Hey,
anyways,
dude, no, my girl's had some of the worst farts that I've ever experienced.
It's like she doesn't
ain't
listen.
gonna listen to this podcast, so I'm lucky. But like, man, there've been some times where I'm just like, whoa, was that you or was that me?
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, it's amazing how loud like Quinn can like. I'm like I could not be more proud right now. And even when she was like a lot younger, even if she was like 5 or 6, I'd be like, there is no way. There's no way that noise came out of that little body. It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. Jasmine will rip something brutal. I'm just like, what was that? It's like, there's no way.
How did you not get launched up into the air?
I just noticed that you two didn't say anything about your ladies. I guess you're just being smart.
Oh, well, my wife poops, yeah.
She poops, but I mean, you guys aren't going to believe me. She thinks that if she farts in front of me or around me,
that you're out,
that I'm going to leave.
Why do they think that?
That's great.
So
she just has cramping going on in her stomach all the time. God. She probably has to let go.
But before we lived together, she I was still living. Well, I moved back in with my parents. She would just go home, and home would be like 35-minute drive. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm not gonna do it here.
Just fart the whole time.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now we got Aaron.
Hey, there he is.
There we go.
Hey. Oh my God. Nsima, you lied to me. You told me this guy was better looking than me.
Well, yeah, he kind of is.
He is. He's a good-looking guy.
Substantially so, and he has more hair.
Yeah.
And it's we can't hear him.
Not yet.
Not yet. We'll get him. I need to learn sign language.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not yet.
I like the brick background though. That looks good.
It's
Is that
really
real
dope.
brick? That's what we need to get to. What do we need to do? We got to hit a button, Andrew?
No, well,
Hey,
we just
guys.
there.
Oh,
it
there we
is.
go.
Hey,
Nice.
what's happening, gentlemen?
What's up?
Hey, is that a real brick background or is that just a backdrop?
It is indeed it's a real brick wall.
Oh, there we go.
Man, that's
Yeah.
come
Not
on.
everything
Come
on the
on,
internet's
Mark.
not everything on the internet's fake, right?
Exactly.
Super fired up and excited to have you on the show. My host here.
Is there a delay or is this okay?
I
My
think
audio-
you sound great.
Okay, cool.
You sound extremely handsome this morning.
I feel handsome, guys. I'll tell you what, I was so nervous to come on this podcast because I was watching some of the episodes. I'm like, I eat carbohydrates. They're going to kill me.
Wait, what?
I eat carbs,
And that's the end of the show. Damn,
Cool.
you eat carbs. That is a shock.
Yeah.
What's
I eat
going on
carbs.
here? Didn't we vet this guy?
That was Andrew's job, so I don't know about that. But yeah.
No, I'm a big fan, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
He can eat
so
whatever he wants.
You just lied to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
There it is.
Fair enough.
Hey, man, how did all this get started? Because he got 5.4 million subscribers on YouTube, and what do you think? What do you think was the thing that led to that success? That led to that many people, wanting to find out this information? Was just a huge void in society for this information?
Yeah, I have no idea. That's a great question, but I think when I started, I was early, right? That was one of the lucky things for me is that I was super early. I started posting content on YouTube back in 2008, so YouTube was fairly new, and at the time there was nobody talking about like men's style, grooming, manscaping, and things of that nature. There wasn't even fitness content for the most part back then. And so I started posting videos, and I had no idea what to expect. I had back then you couldn't make any money doing it. It was just, people with a big mouth and a video camera
Right.
that would just put up content and hey, who knows, right? And so that's kind of what happened. And I posted my first video. It was I had a fitness center that failed. And it was a horrible, destructive bankruptcy sort of situation that happened back in 2006. And at that point, I was bankrupt. I was broke, and I didn't know what to do. And so the interesting thing, and sort of what happened was, while I had this fitness center, I had this client of mine named Steve, who was getting ready for a date one night. And he's like, hey, I don't know what to wear, what should I do? And I said, you know what, why don't I come over to your place and we'll see what you have and see what you need. If you need something, we'll go shopping. And by the way, we got to get your nose hair handled because they are crazy. And so I didn't realize what
He's
I was
probably
doing.
like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So, wait a second. No, he was totally like putty in my little hands. And so we ended up, doing that, and the date was successful and it was a lot of fun. And he went to work. He was a meteorologist at the Weather Channel. And the next week, his coworker, a woman, called me and said, hey, I saw what you did with Steve. Could you do that with my husband? And so I'm like, maybe there's a business in this. And so this was back when, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, that TV show was just coming out, right? And so up until this point, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know it was like an image consulting type of thing. And I was just looking for something to pay the bills, because at that point I was broken. And, the fitness center was my only dream my entire life. And so when that's not,
Oh no.
it's like, okay, so posted my first video and I got the first comment, and I realized that that's sort of what I've been searching for my entire life, was just like validation and, having an outlet to be able to help somebody. And so I think that's really why, it's sort of grown the way that it has. I mean, I joke around that it took me 6 years to get my first 100,000 subscribers. And then it took me another 11 months to get another 900. And so it scaled fairly fast, once I got to that, 100,000 subscriber mark. But
That's different than the way that I thought it went down. I thought just one day you shaved your balls and you're like, I need to share this with everybody.
It sells itself, man. Come on.
That's amazing. Yo, Alpha, I said it earlier that, like, I'm just a fan, and I truly am. Before I started working here with Mark, I was a freelance photographer. And one day I'm like looking around, I'm like, dude, I don't know how to dress. I look like shit all the time. And I don't know what pushed me to search YouTube, and then your videos came up. And to this day, I still use the same trimmer that you recommended like 4 or 5 years ago. And sorry if it doesn't.
Norelco.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the one, man. It's like $35 on Amazon. Apologize if it's not like up to standards right now. But what I wanted to ask was, like, was there a moment in your life where, like, maybe like a chick broke up with you, or like, you got bullied or something, and you're like, you know what, fuck this, man. I'm going to step up and, basically become this alpha, M character, or, just, yeah, like, was there something that kind of triggered you where you're like, I am going to be the man now?
It's funny, not really. And this is, there's this friend of mine that I know that has another like style YouTube channel called The Modest Man. And it's for style for short guys. And I was on a podcast with him, and he said something that was interesting. He said, Aaron is short, but he doesn't realize it. Meaning that I don't have this like big, like super, like, Napoleon complex or anything that I should have because I'm only 5'6". No, I've always, I think really the whole catalyst of this was me just trying to figure a lot of stuff out when I was growing up. I was always, I was into like hair, and I was into all like the stuff that, my wife jokes that I'm a gay man with a straight penis. And, like, so I was into all that stuff. And really it's just I'm an only child. And so I think that sort of also sort of fed into this idea that I've always sort of just like helped my friends, and I've been very comfortable talking about myself and talking about things that I've struggled with or I've dealt with. And back then when I started this whole thing, the reason I started it because I was looking online and there was really no resource out there for just regular dudes to get basic advice on things like shaving your balls and, what do you do with butt hair if you don't want it? And, things of that nature and style, style. A lot of my friends and my dad and these dudes that I know, they weren't reading GQ magazine or Esquire. They just wanted to know, will chicks dig it? Pretty much basic, simple stuff like that. I'm like, hey, let me start talking about this stuff. And it's been a wild ride ever since.
If I walked into a salon and said I need a Brazilian, they would probably shut the place down, right? Guys don't do that. Chicks usually do that. So you're hitting a topic that, yeah, people are probably, wanting to know, like, yeah, how do I groom properly? How do I take care of this stuff?
What's funny is when people, recognize me now, when I go out, they're like, yeah, I watch your videos, but they'll never like actually admit to what video they've watched or what video they found me. It's like, it's cool, man. We have like a secret, like, understanding. So
is it hard?
Awesome.
Is it tough being the style guy? And then to go out, like, sometimes like maybe you don't feel like, trimming up your beard or whatever. Sometimes you don't feel like, maybe taking a shower or looking great. Maybe you just feel like kind of being under the radar some days.
That's every day, Mark.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I am. I'm a hack. Come on, let's be honest. Like, I am a total hack. Everybody else on YouTube is more stylish than me. I'm a 43-year-old guy who, just likes clothing. I like style and things of that nature. I like looking good, but no, I'm just a regular.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That style and stuff is funny, but it's funny because when I meet people, a lot of times people will automatically apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wearing this. What are you talking about? I don't notice this stuff. I apologize for wearing these flip flops.
Before everything you've been doing now in terms of style, and there's been a big fitness component in a lot of your videos too. Before you were like focused on fitness, and that was like everything you were doing. So how has focusing on fitness and that realm had an effect on everything you're doing right now?
So starting to work out is the best decision that I ever made in my life. I mean, I truly feel like exercise and fitness, that is my love, that is my passion. At 12 or 11 years old, I saw the movie Rocky III, and I saw Sylvester Stallone and the Russian. I'm like, fucking A. If there's a body that, if I can look like that, like if that can happen, can I not curse on here?
That, no, that cursing is fine, but saying the wrong Rocky is not. That's Rocky IV, my friend.
Rocky IV.
Come on, we got to get our shit together around here.
I just lost my man card again. So no, I saw Rocky IV, and that was it. Like I saw those bodies, and I'm like, my God, you know, if a body can look like that, that's what I want. And so I had a really crappy home life. I had some abusive stepfathers. But the one gift my mom gave me at 12 years old was a gym membership. I said, Mom, because I was down in the basement, you know, with those like plaster weights, you know, just, you know, listening to Vanilla Ice on my, you know, headset, you know, jumping rope and doing push-ups, right? I'm dating myself, right? But Ice Ice Baby, man, that song is incredible. And so I was down there, and my mom gave me a gym membership back when I was like 12 years old, and she would drive me to the gym, and that's when it all changed for me. I mean, I went from sort of this, you know, very, you know, quiet. I was quiet because I, you know, just the adverse effects of having abusive stepfathers. You kind of learn to just keep your mouth shut. But when I went to the gym, man, that was it. Like that was where I found my confidence. I found my voice, and I loved everything about it. And so from 12 years old, I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It was to have a fitness center. That was it. And so everything I did up until the moment that I opened one and then ultimately lost it was based on fitness. I, you know, competed at natural bodybuilding. I did, you know, when I got out of college, I helped the gentleman open a chain of nutrition stores. And so my whole life has been fitness. I was a certified ACE trainer. Like when I was in college, I was going for business management because I knew that I wanted to open a gym. And so I was like, hey, I want to be a personal trainer too. And so I, you know, went and studied for the ACE exam. This is back like before the internet. Mm-hmm. So I had to actually go to Washington, D.C., sit down and take the test. I failed it the first time. And so, you know, I went back, took it. I think back in the day, there was only like ACE, ACSM, and maybe like one or two other like reputable certifications. Mm. But no, that's what I've always wanted to do. And then I have integrated it a lot into my fitness or into my YouTube channel, but I've stopped doing. Now I'm scared to be honest, because of all of the information. Okay, so let me unpack this a little bit. You guys have a question, or I'll talk. Like if you line me up, guys. Okay, you sure? Okay. So when I was doing the natural bodybuilding and the nutrition store and, you know, fitness, I grew up back in the days of, you know, Rich Gaspari and Dorian Yates and, you know, the Flex magazines and Joe Weider. And where did you get your information from, right? You got it from other dudes in the gym that were big, period. Like, what are you eating? This is what you eat. And then, you know, when I started doing the, you know, certification, I started learning a little bit more about, you know, biomechanics and nutrition and taking nutrition classes. And so I started to learn, but a lot of it was based on what now is considered like bro science. Well, when I stopped the fitness center, this was back in 2006, that's right when the internet was sort of starting to do its thing. And since then, there's been a lot more like information, a lot more studies, a lot, like a ton. And so now I am like, I still have the mindset, my learning stopped when I left the fitness center. When I had to file bankruptcy, it's like, that's it. You know, I've got to change. And so my education on all of these, you know, topics for the most part stopped at that point. And so I still have the bro mindset of a lot of the things that I learned that worked for me, that worked for Arnold, that worked for, you know, a lot of the, you know, guys that were coming up. And so now with everybody who's an expert on on YouTube, you know, they're going to, and for me, I'm a target. So if I say anything that's not technically like factually right based on 2 studies done by some, you know, bizarre Zimbabwe tribe, like I am going to get ripped a new asshole, right? And so now I'm petrified. And so my like everything I thought I knew, like what's black is white, what's up is down. Like I am like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Everything I'm doing is wrong. Like I can't believe I've survived this many years lifting weights with all the dumb information that I had, right? That's kind of like the way that I feel. But I say that tongue in cheek. But everybody is an expert these days, as you guys know.
Yeah, a lot of it's really interesting because like the quote unquote like bro science that people get upset about is just stuff that, like you mentioned, you go to the big guy in the gym, like you go to the, how'd you get your bench, you know, how are you benching 4 plates for 5 reps or whatever. Those are the guys you go to, and you learn that the guy just kind of overtrained for the last 20 years or whatever, like a scientific person would say about that style of training, but a lot of it's just, as we all know, it's just like hard work. It's consistency. And I think a lot of bro science type stuff exists in the first place because it's effective. It works.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about this too then, because like, a lot of guys do look at you for the style stuff, but you have an extremely like respectable physique, what you've built, with this bro science. And I do think like what you've done has the value of being shared because you've done it. A lot of people that do share information, right? The scientific type of information, they may be able to cite all these studies, but then they haven't actually done some of the things they're talking about. You're a guy that, you've been using bro science and maybe you haven't spent time really thinking about it since 2007, but look at what you've got.
Let me tell you, I'm in better shape. I look better with my shirt off at 43 years old than 99.9% of the dudes out there telling me that I'm wrong. And so, it is what it is. And I appreciate that. But it's just about consistency. I haven't since 12 years old, I don't think I've skipped a week that I haven't done something, whether or not it's lifting weights. Is my connection still okay?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Whether or not it's cardiovascular or strength training, it's consistency. It's about eating right. It's about not abusing your body too much, or at least abuse it when you're young, and then when you start getting older, start taking a little bit better care of yourself.
How come being a natural bodybuilder, natural athlete, it seems like that's really important for you, and why is that?
It's not necessarily that it's important to me just because it's the choice that I've made. But I've been exposed to, steroids and all this stuff from a very young age, but it was just something, I think it kind of goes back to like Rocky IV. Thank you for correcting me, Mark. Where I saw this, in my mind, this little dumb 11 or 12-year-old kid, I see, the Russian, taking steroids. And in my mind, I was like, oh, that's the easy way. And then you see Rocky, in the basement lifting horses and shit. And it's like, that's what I can do. Rocky can do it. The truth is that Stallone was what I know now. I just have never, being big never was like really my thing. I always would, when I was competing in natural bodybuilding shows, this was before, I won natural nationals in the SMBF back in 2002. And so this was back before, physique competitions. Everybody had to pop, rock the posing panties and do the thing. And so I always got results. I always, looked good, and I never just decided to go that route for me. But, like every single one of my friends and people that I know, choose something different, and that's absolutely their prerogative, and good for them.
Is it strange to you that you're empowering a lot of people and that you're kind of like a mentor for a lot of people, even though like you originally started out I'm just going to try to show people how they can kind of quote unquote clean up their act a little bit. And now you're empowering a lot of other men. And here you are, a guy that didn't grow up with great guidance from a male parent, right?
When I realized that I had this audience and that I had this voice and people were actually listening to me, it really it shook me to my core. YouTube has made me be a better person. And the reason I say that is because I don't ever want somebody to meet me. I don't want to basically be that dumbass idiot that says one thing and then is representing himself differently, in real life. And so YouTube has made me I don't drink anymore because I know that, well, there are multiple reasons for why I don't really drink anymore. But, I just don't want to be an idiot. I don't want somebody to look at me and be like, oh, that guy, has said something and done something else. And so, yeah, it totally has made me be a better person. And I take the responsibility of having this voice in this audience more seriously than pretty much anything. It's very, very powerful for me.
What are some things that people can do in the gym to just look a little bit better? Sometimes like I call it in here at Super Training Gym, I call it like we got an A squad and a B squad. And the B squad, even the newer lifters, for some reason, they wear like shittier clothes and they have shittier sneakers and they don't look like a fitness professional. Like sometimes a fitness professional might have a cool pair of sneakers on. They might have like a matching, outfit on, and they might look like a fitness professional. But some of the B squad, I mean, they look like they're shopping at like Walmart or something, and I don't even know where they get some of their clothes. You're like, none of this is adding up. It doesn't make any sense. It makes you look fatter than you really are. I don't know what the look is that you're going for, but it ain't working. Whatever it is. What are some things you've seen in the gym that are just like absolute, just people just need to stop doing it?
I hate, honestly, and you guys might wear them, and I apologize if you do, but like homemade like tank tops that have like the sides cut out.
Oh, that's the worst. The Rock wears that all the time. Hey, he cuts them way deep almost to get the nipple out.
Explain this for a second.
It looks horrible.
I've never seen anybody that doesn't look like they have love handles and boobies wearing one of those things. You've got to be like, literally like 4% body fat in order to like actually look decent. And the majority of us just don't look that good. And so, that's something that just drives me absolutely crazy. Those stupid ass masks, those oxygen like that.
Oh yeah.
That cracks me up. I see people, I'm just like, you look like the term, like it's like, come on. And it's usually like the 45-year-old out of shape, guy with the dad bod that's doing that, thinking, I saw some YouTuber.
Right.
I read a study. It's okay. But yeah, just wear sleeves that are short, man, to show off the guns. Tricep exposure. It's all about tricep exposure.
A lot of these guys in my gym, they're like unaware that they gained 30 or 40 pounds over the last couple months because they're powerlifting. They're trying to get bigger, and you're like, dude, the shirt, like that shirt doesn't fit anymore. Like it's not only is it too tight, but it simply doesn't fit. You need a larger size,
One thing that it was one of the guys that works here, his name's Tom. He's like,
absolutely
medium in the gym, large in the streets. Like, okay, that makes sense because I can look bigger here in the gym if I wear a tighter shirt, but then in the streets I want to look like a normal human, so I'll wear the shirt that actually fits.
I'm curious about this too.
Exactly.
You mentioned that you spent 6 years getting to 100,000 subs on YouTube. And then it was like another year where you gained another 900,000. You've been super consistent throughout that whole period of time. Now, what's allowed you to like have that type of consistency through the whole process of that super slow growth? Have you fallen off multiple times, or do you just have what built that consistency for what you do?
It's one of those, I think once I started getting like feedback and people that were actually like interested in what I was saying and I was being reinforced, just it feels good, right? You upload a video and you see the comments and people are like, hey, great job. Of course you've got, the a-holes that are telling you, that you suck, but you could be teaching blind kittens to read on the internet and somebody would have a problem with it, right? And so, no, it was just, I think it's very selfish, the reason why I've been consistent, because I get so much validation and I get such a personal reward from sharing my perspective and interacting with people that it's totally selfish. That's the reason why it feels good. And so I've been consistent. And I think when you've been as low professionally as I was when my fitness center and everything was shutting down, I just don't want to lose it. I just don't want to stop this. I don't know what the next 5 years are going to look like, or 10 years. But if you would have told me 10 years ago that I'd be still doing this, and if you would have told me 12 years ago that success would mean, filming videos and talking to a camera, I would have punched you in the face, because that was not what success was going to look like to me. It was going to be having a chain of, group fitness facilities that, was going to rival Curves at the time. And so
Curves.
What are some of the
selfish, man?
What are some of the videos that led to this explosion in the amount of subscribers that you've had?
I've never had a viral video, like a classic. I've seen some of your videos on your channel, Mark, that are just like with the strongman, like right. Just insane viral videos, right? And that's one of the things that just escalates you in terms of subscriber growth, overnight. I've never really had that. Mine has just been just through brute force and just consistency really more than anything. I've had a few videos that have done well recently, but in terms of that growth, it's just, sometimes you fall in favor with the YouTube algorithm and sometimes you don't. And it really boils down these days, as it's thumbnail and title are the two most important things to grow. That's it. Like, it doesn't matter how amazing your content is, how great your camera is, if you're 4K or 180p, if your thumbnail and your title is good, people are going to click and watch that video.
Cool. When did the an opportunity to monetize the YouTube channel come to be? And because you say we know you were doing this.
Well, I'm a sellout, right? That's what everybody.
Well, because you were doing this before anybody else, really. As far as promoting a certain company or something. So how did that come to be?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing that I think when people. Because I do a lot of promotions. I promote pretty much something on every single one of my videos, and I'm doing 4 to 5 videos a week. So that's a lot of promotions. They failed to realize that for the first 5 years of me putting out content was not monetized at all. I think, it was about 6 years ago, I got a shirt sponsor that was like, hey, you want to build some custom shirts and we'll pay you to put an ad on the front of your video. I'm like, you pay me for this? Of course, let's do this. And then since then, it's escalated. And then back 4 years ago, I hired my best friend from high school to actually help me sell advertising and marketing for the YouTube channel. And then we started a company called Menfluential Media to basically help sell advertising for other influencers and YouTubers and podcasters in my space, in this space with this specific demographic. Yep. And so it was probably about 6 years ago when it kind of started, but it's really just exploded. I mean, this is back before there was a word influencer. That's something kind of new. And so so I never really was big into the merch or anything like that.
I'm curious about, because you do do advertisements in your videos, but it's always something that's really useful for your subscribers and something that is useful for yourself. So how do you navigate those waters? Because I feel like a lot of people that, let's say, they are creating content and they are in a place where they can start doing monetizing in some way, they're scared to, because they're scared that their audience is going to think, just a sellout, you're just trying to trick me or something. But when you put forward your content, it honestly doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle and stumbling block when it comes to doing promotions and advertising on YouTube is just making sure that you believe in the product that you're promoting. There was one product in the history of me doing products that I regret promoting, and it was a supplement. Actually, it was a testosterone boosting supplement. And here's the thing about that supplement, right? Because of the nutrition store background, I knew exactly what was in this testosterone boosting multivitamin type thing. And so I'm like, hey, this is a legit, product that I believe in all the ingredients. It's nothing crazy. There weren't any crazy claims, but I got absolutely shredded the moment that I put that video up. I'm like, you dumb motherfucker. This is and that was the time when I realized, because I am the type of guy, I learned everything the hard way. Why don't I drink and drive? I got a DUI, 10 years ago. I have to learn things and go through the process. I've never been good at learning from other people's mistakes. And so you just really need to be disciplined in only promoting products that you love and you believe in. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that so here's the other thing. I promote watches, like movement watches and Sarah watches, but I own, a few Rolexes, right? And so people are like, oh, how can you do that? That's, you're just pawning these lower quality watches, but you don't believe in it. But here's the thing. The majority of people cannot afford a Rolex. The majority of my audience are people that just want a cool ass watch, and I love watches. And so I'm going to promote, a watch that I feel is super cool and sexy and isn't going to break the bank at $100. And so really being disciplined and not just taking a paycheck. The position that I'm in now, because of, the agency and my YouTube channel, I have, for every one promotion or product that I take to promote, I turn down probably 20. And so, you just need to be disciplined, and that, comes with time, but it's tough, right? And everybody who says, oh, well, you're a sellout, and how can you promote that product? I joke with my friends. I'm like, if somebody would take a sack of cash and drop it in your lap and be like, you don't like the product? Could you find a few things that you like about it now?
Right.
So anyway.
Did you meet your wife from being a YouTube celebrity?
No, thank God. No, I met her at a karaoke bar. I met her at the gym, but then our love solidified when I was, at a karaoke bar on it was like the 5th of July.
You were singing?
Oh yeah, and I was quite intoxicated. It was pretty bad, but that's how that happened.
It sound like you're good enough, man, to pass the test, right?
No, it doesn't. That was the thing. She's like, man, so bad, and he's confident enough to get up there. She's like, I'm not. So that was that.
How did you go from having the fitness center fail to a lot of success in business now? Because you've been on Shark Tank even more than once. So how did that evolution happen? You said you only learned from your own mistakes. You had mistakes in this fitness center, and then you were able to move on and really have a lot of success.
Yeah. So at my core, I'm an entrepreneur. I love business. I love selling things. I love creating products. That is who I am. It's in my DNA. And so it's all just kind of happened, reasonably, it's been slow. It's been an evolution. I've tried different products along the way. I tried doing the e-product route because that's what all my friends were doing. And I just was not good at it. And the first time I was on Shark Tank was for an e-product that was actually DVDs. That just shows you how much of a dinosaur I am, right? I'm like, DVDs, yeah, they'll just pop it in. Well, computers don't even have hard drives anymore or disk drives anymore.
Right.
And so, from that, it was, let me try this. And then I decided to start a hair product, grooming company, and that grew. And then, from there, I tried apparel. I didn't want to deal with apparel because sizes and returns is hard, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And then, started a skincare company, and recently, my most recent venture is a sunglass company that, I do. I made sunglasses, custom sunglasses, and figured that out. And just, I love business. I'm also an opportunist in terms of, if there's something that I want to try, I'm going to try it. And if I fail, I'm going to fail really quickly and move on. And I'm also not scared to fail, because when you failed at the magnitude that I failed with my fitness center, when you're that broke and you're, I was driving a beer cart to basically put gas in my car at that point in my life. And, I was in my 30s driving a beer cart, which is kind of a little bit of a, reality check, and definitely puts things in perspective. But you'll do anything to figure it out. And so I love business.
What was it like being on Shark Tank? You were on there. You've been on there more than once, right? You've been on there twice.
Yeah. It's amazing. Shark Tank is just such a great show. If you're an entrepreneur, you're into business, it's amazing to be around just smart people. And watching Shark Tank, you can learn so much. A lot of things a few things that I think about when I watch Shark Tank is some of these people need better friends, right? Mark, if you would have went on there with the slingshot, what do you think they would have said?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They'd be like, what do you thought? They
probably wouldn't have been good.
Yeah, exactly. But it's one of those things where, people need friends that'll actually be honest with them. And Shark Tank was just one of those experiences where, because I've been making YouTube videos for so long, that was like my Super Bowl, right? Wind me up. I've got a, personality. I can turn it on when I need to. And it's let's go. The thing that was shocking about Shark Tank the first time is what you see really is what you get. When you walk in, you don't get to meet the sharks ahead of time. If you screw up, they keep rolling. I thought it was oh no, you got your pitch wrong, you can start again. It's not like that. When you come out of those doors, they tell you there's that oriental rug that everybody's standing on. There's a little X. They say, go stand on that X and don't talk, and just stand there. We need to get mic levels. We need to get audio. And you're just standing there in front of them. And so you're standing there for 30 to 45 seconds, just staring at the sharks. They're getting, shots of you looking uncomfortable. And all of a sudden you'll hear a voice that says, end pitch, and you start, and it's just go from there. But the thing that really sucked, the first time I was on, I'm standing there and I'm all nervous. I'm about, I'm freaking out. And all of a sudden I see Barbara lean over to Robert and say, oh my gosh, look at his ears.
What?
Yeah. so I'm like, really? I'm about to pitch on national TV and you're talking about my pointy little ears, lady. This is great. And so, yeah, it's intense, man. It is a very, very intense atmosphere. Something else you'll notice is if you're watching it, watch everybody lick their lips because you're so nervous.
Yeah.
You're hot, your adrenaline's going, and there's no water for you to drink. And so everybody is licking their lips. So now I've ruined it for you. Now you're not going to be able to watch it without looking at people licking their lips. But Shark Tank, it was amazing. It was a great experience. I loved it. I would go on again if I could.
And I believe you ended up landing a deal on there too. Is that still something that's going on?
No, I killed that as soon as we got back. It was when I went out there and I went on the second time, they weren't interested in my hair product business, Beat and Bejo. They were interested in the fact that I had a large YouTube audience. But at the time that I went on, I only had 600,000 subscribers, but it was still, a large audience. And so Barbara was investing in my social media platform. Yeah. And it was like, I got home, I'm like, I can't do that. And really, for $100,000, $100,000 isn't going to change my life. And having a business partner definitely could. And so I just decided, hey, thanks, but no thanks. This isn't going to be right for me.
It's hard to turn away from, situations like that because you're thinking, man, I could really link up with someone powerful. And, so it's almost easy to like undersell yourself in some situations like that. No,
absolutely. Yeah, but if you don't sell yourself in this world, gentlemen, nobody's going to do it for you. And
That's
so
right.
you gotta speak up, because that's something that, life is hard, man, and it's super competitive, right? And it's getting more competitive, I think, in the way and the world that we live in. And so you gotta stand up for yourself, and if you want something, you gotta go out and get it. Because nobody's gonna give it to you or help you do it.
Can you go in a little bit deeper with that? Because you just said $100,000 isn't going to change my life, and I'm sure 100,000 people just heard that and said, "Yeah, right." So, can you explain why you had that thought in your head?
Yeah, there are multiple reasons why I had that thought in my head. The moment I had $5,000 in my bank account is when I personally had "fuck you" money, because I grew up, on welfare. And, I had, from the time I've been alive until, the time I had $5,000 in the bank, I struggled every single day. I would wake up and I would think about money. How am I making money? How am I going to pay my bills? Every single day. And when you're stressed about money and when you worry about how you're going to pay the bills, how you're going to, put gas in your car, how you're going to eat, that is like that. There's nothing more powerful than that, in my opinion. And the moment I had $5,000 in the bank, that was the moment when all of a sudden, that for the first time in my life, I didn't think about money one day. I'm like, damn. And what happened from that point was everything opened up. My mind, it's like for my entire life, I had this like pervasive weight on my shoulders or on my mind that I was always thinking about how I was going to pay the bills, how I was going to eat. And the moment I had $5,000 in the bank, it was the moment that my creativity blossomed. It allowed me to start living. And so, I don't need a lot, right? I'm a pretty simple dude. I've gotten less simple as, my businesses have grown and as I've become more successful, but I can do it without, you can have all my, you can have my car, you can have I don't need all that. The fact is, I can do what I want. I have enough money that I can support myself and my family, and that's it. And so $100,000 is great, but I believe in myself. My wife will say this, and she doesn't have the entrepreneurial mindset, right? She's a worker, right? She wants to go to work. She wants to have her 401k. She wants to leave it at the office, at the end of the day. But that's not me. It's not what I was built for. It's not, what's in my DNA or my nature. And so she'll always say something like, she grew up, without a lot. She'll always say things like, I can't believe, did you ever think we'd live in a house like this? Did you ever think this? Or I never thought, she would always say that. I never thought we would, she's like, did you? I'm like, I never thought I couldn't. I just knew that if it was going to happen, I could figure it out. But I believe in myself, and I know that I can figure it out. I can figure the shit out. And if I need to, I can, make something happen, and I can earn $100,000 in another way. I just need to be smart enough and work hard enough to figure it out. And that's one of my sort of superpowers, is just being, I'm a pretty hard worker, and I can get creative when I need to be.
Yeah, being like naive and being a dreamer is a really powerful component to the whole thing, and I've always been that way myself. And so sometimes when somebody asks me those kind of questions, I'm always like, yeah, I never even really thought about it. I never thought about it not being a possibility. So I'm on the complete, opposite side of the spectrum sometimes of, where my wife might be. But to go back to your example of $100,000, I think that people, really view that as like some enormous amount of money. And it is a huge amount of money. But if you were to give someone, $8,000 or $9,000 a month for the entire year, obviously that would have a huge impact on their finances and the things that they could do. But once 12 months have subsided and you don't get that money anymore, what then? What would happen then? What would things look like 2 or 3 years down the road? And so your example of $100,000 isn't going to really change my life. What are you going to do? Pay off debt? Like, what are people going to do? Like, they're going to maybe make some car payments. People are already living beyond their means. So $100K, unfortunately, for a lot of people still isn't really going to do much unless they were paid $100K for the next several years.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, $100,000, here's the other thing that I would have, and this is just because the internet will fuck up your perception of the dollar. That is something that is, it's a fact. I know to make just as an example, when I was a personal trainer, when I had my personal training studio, for $1,000, right? That was 20 sessions. I had to work 20 hours to make $1,000 back when I was, in my personal training days. That's like, now these companies are throwing money at you like $1,000. Like it's ridiculous. And something that I am so glad I had the opportunity to grow up when I did, and to struggle the way that I did, and have to work, 9 to 5 jobs my entire life, as opposed to just coming into the internet and finding success early. Because it's like, I see these young kids and these young, influencers and people on social media that just don't have a concept of how hard it really is to make a buck. And they're so far out of touch with reality when it comes to money. And it's new though, the internet, and the way that, we can earn money, and the way that you can earn money and scale money when you have an audience and when you have a product that people like, it's crazy. And so, but yeah, I mean, money is, for the majority of people that are not on the internet, and even the people that are on the internet, it's hard to make money on the internet. You've got to find that product, you've got to find that audience. But once you do, then it's like, it's $100,000 isn't going to change your life.
You mentioned that you always worked hard. You also mentioned that you always have the mindset to figure something out. Like, did you ever think you'd live in a house like that? No, but you'd figure out a way to do it. So I'm wondering now, like, you have you have a massive audience. You've had a lot of business success throughout this time, and even currently right now. Have you always, like, how have you developed yourself? Like, what do you do in terms of developing, getting better, etc.? Are you a person that reads a bunch of books? Are you just a guy that just learns through and just does things and experiences it, mistakes, and moves on? Like, how do you go about it for yourself?
That's me. And this is one of my big insecurities. I don't read much in terms of books. I can't tell you the last book that I've read. It's just not something that I've ever been comfortable doing or really enjoying, because my mom, she was a hippie. Right? Everything goes back to your childhood. I watched the Elliot Hulse interview you did. Man,
right.
That guy's fucking off the reservation. But anyway, I used to watch Strength Camp, and I watch that video. I'm like, oh my God.
He's changed a lot.
Yeah, understatement. So what the hell was I even talking about?
You were talking about your mom and how you don't read books. Your mom's a hippie.
Yeah. So she stuck me in this like Quaker school when I was in kindergarten, and they teach you how to read. It was the last school in the country that taught you how to read by phonics. It was this form of spelling called ITA. And then in first grade, they teach you to spell things how they sound. And so in first grade, they just switch you over. Okay, that's not the right way. And then they start trying to teach you how how to spell, the way that you're supposed to. And for 99.9% of the kids, no problem. Well, for that 0.01% or that 0.1% of kids, you struggle with spelling your whole life. And so that's something that I've struggled with. Grammar and, spelling and reading is not something that I've ever enjoyed. And so it's something I don't do. So I need to get out there. I'm a doer. I want to try things. I want to experience things. That's how I learn. That's how I grow for myself. But yeah, that's a big insecurity, because in the world of the internet, everybody is talking about books and personal development, and you got to read these books. And so I've been on podcasts before where they're like, "What's your favorite book?" And I've actually lied before, and said, "Oh," because I watched a TED talk from Simon Sinek. I'm like, "Figure out your why," or whatever. I've got a bookshelf with some books on there. Yeah.
What about reaching out to? What about reaching out to like mentors or something like that, or reaching out to maybe a company that you admire or someone that you admire? Have you done any of that, just to kind of like, since you don't like to read, done any like just kind of rubbing elbows with some other people to gain more knowledge?
No, unfortunately, I haven't done that either. I work a lot. I enjoy the process of figuring things out. And so,
just
no,
doing.
I don't, and that's another one of these things. I understand that mentors are amazing. A lot of people get tons of value from it, but it's just not something that I've ever taken the time to, take a step back and seek that out. And so I'm so busy in my head trying to, figure out how not to fuck things up every day, that, taking the time to actually, like, masterminds and all that, I got things I got to do.
I honestly think, though, it's so great, though, that like you do things in this way, right? Because I mean, with all the podcasts you hear, right, a lot of people like to read a lot, and they have a lot of self-development stuff, and they do the masterminds and get in groups, etc. And it gets kind of easy to think that if I want to be successful, this is what I have to go to do it. And then you're just like, hey, I just fucking work hard and I figure it out, and you just continue to do things. I think it's great for people to hear, like, you don't have to go in this certain route to become successful at something. It's great that you're sharing that.
Yeah, you gotta work hard, and you gotta be creative, and you gotta be smart enough to know when something's not working and look for other angles. And there's so much information out there now. I mean, you can watch a YouTube video on anything you want to learn. You don't necessarily need to go to college. You don't need to go and you can learn all that stuff online. I mean, there's so much information at our fingertips. Anybody who wants something or start you've got, like, all you need is an idea and an internet connection, willing to put in the work and be smart enough to try and figure it out.
Do you listen to a lot of YouTube videos? You mentioned YouTube. Is that like a resource for you here and there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do. Just when I'm doing cardio.
Right.
That's my YouTube time.
How do you end up? It's a weird question, I guess, but like, how do you end up being creative? Like, what's a creative process look like for you? Like, you think of great ideas while you're taking a dump, or do you go to a coffee shop, or like, what do you like to do?
Yeah. They come all of the above. It's usually the way that my process works. I have a journal that has, I keep a list of video concepts or topics or ideas. I am most creative when I'm running. Like, I enjoy running, and I think it's because my body is occupied, so my mind can just kind of like do its thing, and it's challenging for my body, and I just love being outside, and I get recharged and fueled by being outside. And so running every morning, I am at the coffee shop very early, and I know I've got my agenda for the year. Basically in January, I know what video or what product I am promoting on what day for the entire year. And so it always typically starts with a what is the product, and then what topic will integrate well, and what do I think will fit. And so sometimes it's the list that I have. Sometimes I'll go on YouTube and borrow creative ideas from other people. And I mean, everybody at this stage of the game, everybody's stealing from everybody else and just trying to figure out something that works.
there's actually some science behind what you're talking about. So moving, they did it with walking. I don't know what the research would show from running, but I bet it would be similar. Basically just walking at 3.8 miles per hour is what they found in the study, can help a lot with creativity. So anyone who's like, got a brain fart and can't figure out, what they want to do next, let's go for a damn walk or go for a jog. You listen to music while you're running?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man.
Some Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla, you kidding me? It's still good.
On the
don't act like you don't like it, Mark.
Oh, I do.
On the creativity side of things, though, like your content, I just find it so interesting because like a lot of people make content like vlogs, like daily life vlogs, right? So they're doing something different or they're doing some of the same stuff and their audience likes watching that. So you don't really, you need to come up with new things here and there, but you don't really have to. You could just be doing the same thing if your audience is interested, but you have literal just like different topics every single day, or maybe a different iteration of a topic you may have talked about, but it's coming at a different angle. I know you just explained your process, but do you ever think, oh gosh, I'm running out of ideas, or do you just always have something new that just comes up your way?
No, you're always. I mean, I've been, doing this now for it's literally 11 years, and I don't know how, but it just, you where there's a will, there's a way. I think one of the reasons why I've been able to put out so much content and challenge myself creatively is because of the advertising. If I didn't have something to promote, if I didn't have to make a video today, I don't know that I would be as motivated to, put out 4 or 5 videos a week. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. I still do all my own editing. I mean, that's something that I do my thumbnails. I do, that's what I enjoy doing. That's what I love. And so that takes a lot of time. I mean, I know everybody has, typically has editors at this stage of the game and people doing it. And my videos are pretty basic. I mean, I've got a room, I've got a gray wall, I've got some lights and a camera. And so it allows me to, rapidly put out content. I only film 1 video a day. Like that's as much as I can sort of handle and get up for and film. I know a lot of people like batch videos. That's just not my thing. But yeah, it's the advertising though has pushed me to put out more content and to get more creative.
Cool. The YouTube landscape has changed so much since you started. Do you have any advice for like some young alphas out there that want to get in the game and they want to become something like you or have like a platform like yours?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Simplest way to hack the system is if you have a genre or a channel that you want to do similar content to, go find those popular channels and look at their most popular video and then copy it. Not copy it in terms of, don't try and say what they say, but that topic, that thumbnail, that it's something that people have searched for or YouTube liked. And so that is the quickest, easiest way to hack the system. And so you see a lot of guys in the fitness space, a lot of guys in, the style space, the grooming space, that's all they do. They just go, they find, my videos or some of these other guys' videos that were popular. They do their version. YouTube's like, oh, somebody new. This topic was popular with a lot of people. Let's start sending it out. That's the easiest way to sort of hack the system. But put your own spin on it. Change the title. Don't like copy. Don't be blatant about it. But
yeah, how about monetizing it without like being gross?
You're asking the wrong guy. I don't know. I think one of the mistakes that people make when they start YouTube is nowadays, when you think YouTube and all these kids think, oh, I want to be a YouTuber. It's like it's when like in schools, that's like the number one thing people want to be. I want to be a YouTuber. They think that YouTube equals money. I think the people that are truly successful are doing it for the right reasons and then figure out how to monetize it later. You're putting out content because you've got a perspective, you've got a voice, you've got something you want to share, as opposed to, okay, I want to put videos out because I want to make money. I think that's where it gets challenging. And you can tell when you see somebody and you're watching it and right away it's into the sales pitch. Put out content, figure out, your voice, what your audience responds to, and then, be disciplined and figure out something to, that they might be interested in buying or or grabbing. And a lot of times if they love you, they'll reward you by buying like your t-shirts or your merch or whatever. A perfect example. Let me tell you a perfect example real quick. There's a guy in the fragrance space called Jeremy Fragrance. If you've ever searched for cologne, you're going to see this guy, right? He's got this incredible platform where he's not trying to be, super, snooty or anything like that. He's just talking about, what fragrances chicks dig and what are the best 5 panty dropping fragrances of 2007, right? That's what he does. And he has these pretty girls that come on and they smell. For the entire channel, he's been doing it for years. He gave out free content, didn't make money other than like Amazon links. And people believed him, they trusted him. And then he decided, okay, I'm coming out with my own cologne. So he did a Kickstarter campaign. That fool raised like $1 million in like a week from his audience because he was putting out value, he was giving them something, he was becoming the expert. And so when he decided to finally be like, all right, guys, now's the time, come buy this, everybody went because he did the legwork and he did the groundwork for years before he ever asked them to buy anything.
What's your food and your training look like?
My bro splits all day, every day. No,
I love it.
My diet is boring. I eat the same thing every single day, pretty much. Breakfast I do like typically like a protein shake and like an apple or maybe some eggs. I'll like shift. Like I'll do something for literally like a year and then I'll be like, oh, I like oatmeal with a scoop of protein and some sweetener in there and so lunch I typically eat just like three meals a day. I used to be into, the every 3 hours you need to eat. You need to, I used to be all into the meal preps and I still meal prep all my food one day a week. On Sunday, I'll cook all my meats. I'll cook, my grains. I typically will eat barley or quinoa or a combination of both in terms of my carbs or sweet potatoes occasionally. But I got pretty burnt out of sweet potatoes back in the bodybuilding days. And so it's typically meat, a grain, and some type of fruit. And that's 2 meals a day, and then I'll have some snacks here and there. Nuts and almonds. I eat avocados. I eat a lot of fat, but I also do eat a lot of starchy carbs and things of that nature.
For your training, you're doing some running as well?
Oh yeah, that's my thing. Like I just love running, and so my training, I work out with weights Monday through Friday. Basically it is basically a bro split. I work one muscle group a day. Some days I'll go into the gym twice a day. I have a little gym at my house. I just love exercising. So I love really committing when I'm doing an exercise, like, if it's, chest, I love, doing a bunch of sets, and I love, doing it hard once a week and being sore, and then, doing triceps maybe in the evening or shoulders the day before. I will typically work out one body part per workout Monday through Friday. The one regret that I have is that I didn't really get into like the big 3 lifts during my younger bodybuilding days. I mean, I wasn't doing deadlifts. I wasn't really even using, bench. And I've noticed in the past year, I've started incorporating a lot more deadlifts, bench press, and squats, free weight squats. I used to be, using the Smith machine and trying to target muscles and all that. And my body has changed tremendously from just doing those 3 lifts. And it's been pretty neat to see.
Have you ever messed around with a trap bar deadlift?
No.
Trap bar deadlift is great. You've seen one before or no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yep,
you stand inside of it. You get to use your quads a little bit more. So if you have a gym where you have any access to a trap bar deadlift, it might be something really good to give a shot to, because it's still going to work your lower back, still going to hit the hammies, still going to hit your quads. Good overall workout, just like a regular deadlift. But having a bar, kind of in front of your legs, like a regular deadlift, can sometimes be taxing on the lower back and takes a longer time to really acquire a good skill for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I had the pleasure to meet Matt Reynolds, spend a little bit of time with him. Do you know Matt, or have you heard of him?
I do not.
He was the Mark Ripeto's guy for Starting Strength. So Matt Reynolds, he runs that end of the business for him, or he did. I don't know what the correlation is, but I have a conference that I put on once a year, and he has come to the conference and been like a panelist and given a presentation about fitness and things of that nature. And so for hearing that year after year about, the big 3 lifts, the big 3 lifts, big 3, I'm like, all right, fine. You broke me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a try. And so it's been good. It's been a lot of fun.
Since you're someone
but I'm not strong. I've never worked out for strength. That's the other thing. I'm like, I'm going on Mark Bell's podcast. I'm like the weakest guy to ever be on this show. Some of the women are stronger than me, probably.
It's funny that you should say you're not strong, because a lot of guys that say, "Oh, I'm not strong," they're actually like closet pretty damn strong. So I think that's a lie.
But when you're in the bodybuilding, mindset, you're doing, reps of 10, 12, drop sets. It's like, let me beat the shit out of this muscle as hard as I can, as fast as I can, and it's not about, it's not about strength. And so, as you guys know, I'm preaching to the choir.
Gotcha. Since you've mentioned that you learn a lot from experience, what I want to know is, like, you mentioned that you don't drink now because, like, maybe you had a DUI and your failed gym, which I'm curious about that too. But from a lot of these like experiences, what are some of the main experiences that you've had that have made you shift in terms of certain things that you do now, or certain habits that you have now?
Yeah, no, the fitness center, that was a huge shift for me because, like I said, since the age of 12 until, I don't even know, I think I was like 31 or 32. The only thing I was focused on was that fitness center. And that was the only thing that I was striving for. And the only thing I was looking towards for success and the feeling of validation. So that was probably the number one biggest shift. I needed to figure out what my plan B, because the type of guy I am, I'm very like I said, I'm not that smart. I can focus really hard on like one thing, and that's where all my attention goes. It's zeroed in. Like, that's what I'm working for. I've got this one goal and I'm shooting for it. I never allow myself the freedom to have like a plan B or an escape plan. And so when that failed, it was a very, obviously it was emotionally just devastating, but the hardest part, it wasn't the financial ruin. It was not having that goal or that North Star to shoot for. Oh shit, I don't know what do I do now? Like, what am I going for? And so that was the scariest point in my life, and just trying to figure out, what next, and what is my life going to amount to now that my entire goal for my entire life is now taken away, and that's not an option. And so that was the biggest shift. In terms of that, in terms of, for drinking, I just decided one day that I was like, I used to chew tobacco. I used to dip, right? I used to dip like 2 cans a day. I got started with that back when I went to West Virginia University, and I had this buddy, Larry Bowser. He taught me how to catfish, and he's like, yeah, give it a try. And so I have an addictive personality, apparently. And so I started doing that 2 cans a day. And one day I was like, you know what? This was probably like 8 years ago. I was like, I just don't want to die from mouth cancer. Like, I know better. I know that this is not a good thing for me. And so I'm like, I got to quit. And so I quit. But in order for me to quit, I got to stop drinking, because I was the type of person where I would drink, every weekend, and I would drink, like 12 pack of beer or whatever I was drinking. And I was drinking too much. And I think this was back when I wasn't happy. And so I think I was using alcohol a bit to sort of just like, numb things and self-medicate a little bit, because I think I was still just struggling emotionally. Mm-hmm. And so in order for me to quit chewing tobacco, I had to stop drinking alcohol. And that's when everything kind of like changed. Like, I started feeling better. I started, waking up and I was clear, and I felt amazing. And so I'm like, I don't want this to stop. And so I quit drinking so that I could quit tobacco. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made for myself.
Got anything else over there, Andrew?
I definitely do. Well, even though we're all pretty much bald at the moment right now on this podcast, one of us does it by choice. Mark actually does have hair.
I just get rid of it.
Yeah, and Nsima and I know for myself, I've been balding since I was like 23.
Same.
Okay, cool. There it is. Must be all the trend that we're on.
Oh, testosterone. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Do you have any style tips for those of us that may or may not be balding right now?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
May or may not be balding.
Yeah, we're definitely balding for sure.
It's gone.
Yeah. No, you got 2 options basically. you can just, go with it and just deal with it and shave your head or cut it very short. Or you can, there are a lot of advancements out there that can actually slow the progression of hair loss. Propecia is the real deal. Rogaine and Propecia, when combined together, is incredibly effective at slowing the actually stopping for most men the progression of hair loss. But it's one of those things where don't stick your head in the sand. Like if you see like, oh man, I feel like I'm losing a few extra hairs, or you see them in the drain, do something about it now as opposed to waiting. But yeah, I mean, I have some friends that started taking Propecia. There are companies out there now, even just a company called Keeps, Bosley, all these places have protocols that if you want to keep it, you can keep it, but you got to start. But some people just aren't. I mean, some people say, oh, well, Propecia has sexual side effects. The truth is that Propecia is used to shrink prostates. And so it's actually a prostate drug that they just found out had interesting side effects of stopping guys, hair from falling out. And so, yeah, you've got two options: shave it, cut it short, deal with it, rock it. Bald is beautiful. Grow some facial hair. Facial hair is amazing. And here's the reason why. If you're balding, right, the eye tends to if your hairline is receding, the eye will tend to, go up to the balding area. But if you grow some facial hair, bang, it centers you a little bit more and it brings people's eyes a little bit more down level with yours. Cool pair of frames, another option. If you're bald, just do it, man. And I think, guys that are bald with facial hair, I think look amazing.
Let's follow up on that. So how can you stimulate some facial hair growth? If it's not as thick in some parts, how can you get those parts thicker if that's possible? Or is there no
time? I still have bald spots in my sideburns and stuff. No, time will, time and testosterone are the ones that'll change that, right? You see all these men that are transitioning from women to men, they got better beards than I do.
Man, yeah, some of them really do kill it.
Cool.
But yeah.
I was going to ask, because we've been talking about the whole manscaping thing on the podcast, and Nsima has some good recommendations. Don't be shy. Go ahead and plug anything you can. But I personally, I've been reading reviews, and you always see, oh, this was amazing product. The next one is oh, it still nicked my balls and there's blood everywhere. So do you have any recommendations for cleaning up the rest of the body hair?
There's an amazing invention. I know the owner. If you got back hair and you don't want to ask your significant other to do it, it's called the back blade.
Ooh.
It's like a back scratcher with these blades. This guy Matt that I'm now friends with developed, and it is amazing. It's dry, so you can do it dry. It has a little guard on it. You can find them on Amazon, and you can get your own back hair. No matter how big you are, no matter how unflexible, you can get your own back hair. In terms of body hair, it's grooming. Grooming tools are great. I don't know what other, but I mean, there are a lot of options for removal. It just depends on how much effort and pain you want to go through.
I have a product called a man groomer. It's pretty good for the back. It's like the back scratcher you're talking about. It just has
the man groomer is electric though, right?
Yeah. Just has clippers on it.
The back blade, man, it
gets you nice and smooth.
Oh yeah, and the man groomer is actually smaller.
Right.
The back blade typically it's wide, and so you get a lot more
surface area.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's digging back hair.
Yeah, I don't have back hair.
I don't have back hair either. Yeah, I just have hair everywhere else.
But I know that a lot of your listeners probably do.
Yeah, they do.
That furry back neck hair thing that grows out of people's shirt. You're like, ooh, that does not look good. That's not a good look.
Yeah. We were podcasting earlier, and then we took a little break before we got on with you. But I think everybody's stomach from the coffee this morning was rumbling and grumbling because coffee can be a diuretic. So we were joking around about poop stories. It's a big topic on our podcast, and we're like, man, yeah. And I was I was telling him dude, I bet you Alpha doesn't even have a poop story because he's that cool guy that he just has everything in place. He's so on top of everything. But I guess there's only one way to find out. Do you have any crazy poop stories from back in the day or even recent? The more embarrassing, the better.
Well, yeah, there's one that I can't share.
Oh, why not? Why not?
You'll ruin his entire reputation.
Come on.
A girl I was dating that had a boot problem.
That's great.
And I think you can just take that for whatever you choose to. You know what? Well, here's the story. When I stopped chewing tobacco, right? For you guys out there, if you've ever been, nicotine, it first thing in the morning, boom, you wake up, you pop a dip in, and literally 30 seconds later, you're like, I got to take a crap. And so that was one of the hardest things about quitting chewing tobacco. I'm like, what do I do? Right? I'm like, oh, I feel constipated. Like it just wasn't happening. And so I started taking psyllium husk. You guys know?
Yeah, fiber,
husk?
yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, the psyllium husk, man, that stuff, I'm telling you, the size of the craps that you take when you start actually taking psyllium husk, because it goes in and basically like holds water. It's unbelievable.
Gels everything together.
And that actually, definitely helped me over the hurdle and hump of, sort of getting my digestive tract back on track. Now, I eat a very fibrous diet. I mean, quinoa and all these different, grains. But I was listening to one of your podcasts where you're talking about, when you do eat, when you go keto, that's one of the issues, right? Like it can be.
Yeah, for some people, for sure.
You're not eating. What's that?
Yeah, for some people, for sure. Yeah.
So what do you do? Like, is there a learning curve? Like, does your colon for a while?
Well, so whenever anybody shifts from one diet to another, a lot of things are going to change. Your energy and your body's going to kind of change. Your poops will probably change. Some people that switch to like a carnivore diet or a keto style diet, they get worried because they're not like shitting as much. Or even if they try intermittent fasting, and it's like, well, you're just eating less. You got to keep in mind too, you're dieting and you probably are maybe also consuming less calories. So people tend to panic, like if they don't poop for a day, but it's really nothing to panic about. You'll probably be fine. Probably your body just needs some time to get used to it. But yeah, you can implement fiber. You could implement something like psyllium husk. But for whatever reason, I never have any problems. I'm always shitting.
Yeah. What so I don't do keto, but I've been hearing a lot about it, and what really interests me about the keto diet and from what I've been hearing and learning about it is really the cancer prevention benefits of it. Can you talk, educate me and maybe the consumer or the viewer a little bit about what are the reported, because I know that even like in the nutrition industry, you can't say that vitamin C will help you get over your cold faster. You could say things like, some of my clients take vitamin C for this reason. That's what you could say.
Right.
So what, tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So, some people, some of the research is showing that a ketogenic diet and ketones specifically could fight against cancer. And a lot of the research has been done on these. They had a keto pet sanctuary. A lot of research has been done on dogs, and our good friend Ron Penna, former owner and co-founder of Quest Nutrition, he did a lot of research on it, and a lot of these dogs ended up in remission, but not every single one. And also, it appears that it may not fight against all types of cancer. But I would also say that what would also fight against cancer is just like general health practices, getting enough sleep, trying not to be like overly stressed. And it's like, how do you try not to be overly stressed? But try not to be overly stressed. And then just not consuming too many calories, and I think so. I don't know if they tested like other diets or other restrictions, head to head with a ketogenic diet, but I do know that ketones specifically are at least to this point, they've been researched and shown to have anti-cancer properties to them. But I don't know all the mechanisms behind it.
Is everybody on your show? Is everybody on a ketogenic diet?
No, like these, we all three of us end up on kind of different, we end up shifting our diets around a little bit here and there. But for myself, I've been doing a ketogenic diet on and off since like the mid 90s. And I love it. I just love the way I feel on it. I utilize that and I mix that in with intermittent fasting. And then Nsima over here does jujitsu as well as powerlifting and bodybuilding. and he's incorporated a lot of intermittent fasting and also just reduced the overall amount of carbs that you were eating, right?
Yeah, I used to eat a lot of carbs, and I mean, it's not like I was out of shape when I did, but I just wanted to lower it just to see kind of how my athletic performance would be, and it honestly kind of improved. I just feel a little bit better, so I'm more low to moderate carb, fairly high fat, and I never used to think, again, because I was an athlete and all the athletes around me are like, you got to eat carbs, you got to eat carbs. I was scared of lowering them, but when I did, first off, nothing happened to my shits. Like, I still poop as much as I used to, even though I'm not eating nearly the amount of fiber as I was. But my energy levels and like everything else is damn good. It's crazy. So yeah, we're not anti-carb or anything.
No.
You know, I eat carbs. There's nothing wrong with them, but I just don't eat nearly the amount that I used to. Huh?
Pizza. You gotta eat a pizza.
Oh, from time to time, yeah. Yeah, no, I don't not eat pizza. But I just don't I don't have that stuff all the time. I used to I used to eat a Ben and Jerry's like almost every night. Which isn't healthy at all, you know what I mean? It's like there are healthy carbs like you eat, and then there's Ben and Jerry's. There's a difference there, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
We need to get back on that plan, though, the Ben and Jerry's plan.
Yeah, you did that too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Cookie dough, Ben and Jerry's, all kinds of stuff.
So, Mark, how's the business going?
Everything's going great. You know, where
Coming
we're
out with new products, I see.
Yeah, where we're podcasting out of. This is Slingshot headquarters, and we have Slingshot, products. The Slingshot is the bench press device that helps with push-ups and bench press and dips. We'll send you out some products. We make wrist wraps, knee sleeves, knee wraps, belts, all kinds of stuff. And then I started up another business, which this is one of the products right here. This is called Mind Bullet, and this is Mind Bullet Potion. I don't know if you're familiar with Kratom at all, but Kratom is a great product that I've been using for quite some time. Helps me a little bit with like clarity, focus, creativity, and just puts me in a good mood. As Nsima has said before, it makes it feel like you've been hugged a bunch, makes you happy. And so it's a product that we've been selling for about the last 6 months.
What is it derived from?
It's derived from kratom, which is a tropical tea leaf. It's in the same family as coffee, so it's a stimulant. But it's not going to stimulate you the way like coffee would. It's not going to really wind you up. Actually, some people like to take it before they go to bed, and other people like to take it right when they wake up. So it will kind of it sounds like a bullshit sales pitch, but it will kind of morph into like whatever it is that you need. It will kind of fulfill that. So it's something that, like I said, we've been selling for like the last 6 months, and it's been going good. I'll send you some of that too. You can give that a go as well.
I recently have been sort of experimenting with CBD oil, and do you guys do that?
Yeah. I've tried CBD in the past.
You guys don't believe in CBD oil?
Yeah, I've tried CBD in the past, and I didn't notice anything drastic from it. I did have a CBD lotion at one point that I used on some achy parts and stuff, and it felt like there was some improvement. But I haven't really messed with the product that much.
Yeah. And it's not like I don't believe in CBD. I've just really never had the need to use it, even with like all the stuff that we do in here. I've just never felt the need. Like I've gotten messages like try this, but I'm like, if I don't need it yet. But I do I know a lot of people that that say it helps them out quite a bit. It's becoming really popular, so I have no doubt that it does have its benefits.
Yeah.
Real quick though, I'm curious about this because you make videos every single day. You do a lot of work. Do you get a lot of sleep? Like, do you like, what does that look like for you? I really want to know.
I get about 7.5 hours.
Okay, cool.
I go to bed early. I'm married. I'm an old, married guy. And so my wife's in bed typically by like 8:30.
Oh, wow.
I'll stay up editing until like 10, and then I'll go to bed and wake up typically around like, 6:30. I've been sleeping a little. I used to get up earlier. I think I'm getting lazy. Okay. But yeah, what about you guys?
Yeah, I'm in bed early. I'm in bed. I start looking at the clock at like 7 p.m. and I'm like, I need to figure out a way to, start heading in that direction. So I try to always be in bed before 9 o'clock as much as I can. Sometimes, your circadian rhythm gets thrown off by different times of year, and sometimes it's hard to go down to sleep, earlier, especially like in the summertime. It's like still really bright out, and you're like, this is weird, laying down when it's really bright out. But I usually wake up pretty early. I usually wake up between like 4 and 5 a.m. and just kind of start my day from there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you'll have to come visit us sometime. Where are you at?
I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It'd be awesome to have you out
yeah.
here. Have you come in here and do some training in here in super training.
And you guys are in where is it?
West Sacramento.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely would love to come out there and do something. That'd be a lot of fun.
It'd be great. And I think we would get a lot of great advice from you in terms of business. Because you mentioned that you started up another business that's helping. You're helping influencers or you're helping companies?
No. Well, both. We sell advertising for about 30 to 35 guys. So just for example,
cool.
Dollar Shave Club. Yeah, so Dollar Shave Club will come to us and say, okay, we want to do promotions. Then my guys will work with Dollar Shave Club to put together a plan and basically the budget for these different platforms. And so it's been pretty awesome. We've that business is grown exponentially, and then as an agency we take 25%, but it's up front. Like everybody knows like what our fee is up front ahead of time, as opposed to some of these other we'll get paid $10 but they're making $20,000. So everything for us is pretty much up front. Awesome, man. Where can people find you? Right there.
Yep, we're still here.
There we are. Okay, yeah, just YouTube Alpha M.
There you go. Awesome having you on the show today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Awesome. That was great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was cool. He was fired up. It would be amazing to have him here. I think we'd get even I think we could even get more cool stuff out of him if he was like, live in person. It seems like that kind of person. You can have him like he's animated and fired up,
Yeah, that's how he's well, I mean, I don't know how he is outside of videos, but that's how he is, I feel like putting forward that personality, it's magnetic. It makes people also want to be that active or be more lively.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just remember watching his videos back in the day and being like, okay, so he does the YouTube thing. Like, okay, cool. Like tons of people do that. Oh, he does the YouTube thing and he goes to the gym and films that also. Holy crap. Now he has another business. Like, I mean, when he was talking about like when he went on Shark Tank and he's like, yeah, I had under 1 million, subscribers back then. I was like, damn, okay, so I have been following him for a long time. Because now that he has 5 million, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like in my head, I'm like, damn, did he have that much the entire time that I've known of him? But so yeah, that's how far back I've followed him. And on top of that though, like I seen all this and I'm like, oh wait, you can be the I want to say YouTube star because I think he's bigger than that, but you can be a presence on YouTube, you can have an awesome body, and then you can be a successful business person. Like I thought you had to be one or the other, and I looked at him and I'm like, oh shit, like okay, this is possible. How did he do it? Oh, he worked his ass off. Like this is cool. Like so that was like kind of like the first person where I was like, oh, okay, you can be a savage in multiple aspects in life. And it just like, it motivated me to, it was just one of the many, like motivational persons that have like I've come across in life, and just amazing that just did a podcast with him. Like it's just really freaking cool, man.
Yeah, that was good. I liked a lot of what he had to say. And what I also found, and I hope people caught this, is that he doesn't feel like an expert in a lot of stuff. And he feels kind of weak when he talks about like lifting and nutrition sometimes, but he still talks about it, which is great. That's a great lesson for everyone. Like there's so many people that are so scared to start talking on the internet, and just don't be like, I'm not going to tell you not to worry about what people say, because we're all worried about what people think of us and we're all worried about what people say. But at the same time, don't be paralyzed by it. Just start communicating this. You know what? The stuff that you're going to say, it's going to be dumb. Like it's going to be dumb, and it's not going to be that good. And you're going to think that for a long time. And even as you get better, you're going to still think that it sucks, because your target, your goal is always going to change, and you're going to raise expectations for yourself all the time.
Yeah, and someone as charismatic as him to say like, shit, man, I don't want to talk about fitness stuff anymore because somebody's going to, pull something up and say that I'm an idiot. So it's like, yeah, okay, if that guy feels that way, it's totally fine for me to feel that way too.
Yeah.
But we just did a podcast about getting started that went up today. So yeah, it's all quantum.
No, man, it was great to be able to get to talk to him because I mean, I remember seeing his videos when I was like 18, and it's not like I was someone who watched all of his videos, but I would see a lot of his videos over time. You know what I mean? So like, I've seen that dude like it's been what 10 years now. Shit. So that's dope. Yes, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and I also like the slow burn. You know, he said I never had one video go viral. 5 million subscribers. Like, okay, you don't have to like make that one thing to make it big. You just have to be consistent.
Consistent as hell.
Yeah.
But maybe it doesn't hurt to be on Shark Tank twice.
Oh, yeah.
Twice.
That probably doesn't hurt.
Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch y'all later.